Feeding Table 105 with Nan Savage.
Welcome to the chaos.
Welcome back to the chaos. Today on our episode, I have a very, very dear friend, my right-hand wingwoman, GM of the Skydex, and the reason why I've been able to be so successful because this girl has my back so much and has traveled the world with me. Everybody, Nan Savage.
Woo! The crowd goes wild.
Welcome.
Hello, thanks
What's
for
up,
having
friend?
me. I love you, Mike. That's all. Show's over. Cool.
That's it. That's it. Stuff, guys.
That's it. All right.
And we out. Nan, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the event space, nightlife world.
Oh, we're just hopping right into it.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
All right. No lube. Just fucking go. Okay. Wait, I
Ooh,
can
I
swear,
like
right?
this episode already.
I can swear, right? That's okay?
Please.
Okay. How did I get into events? You know what? I moved to LA and I made friends and they worked for a bartending company and I started bartending. Kim Roussel. We love her. Cantrell now. Actually, she got married. And I just kind of worked my way up to managing. And then different people from different companies saw me and they were like, hey, you're awesome. Come manage for me different events and stuff. So I've got to travel all over the world. I've been to Cannes Film Festival, Sundance Film Festival, Toronto Film Festival, and now, Mexico, and we're trying to go to Europe. I mean, that's before
We were
the
going to
pandemic
Europe.
hit. We were going to Europe for the
UK.
music festivals
Yeah.
over there. And yeah, I've been pretty, what do the kids say? Blessed, hashtag blessed.
So let's back it up and bust out a little bit of that lube.
Okay.
It's for those listeners that like that stuff. Just a little bit of background before you got into events, where
Yeah.
you're from. And
Oh, I'm a Midwest girl. I am. Born in Missouri, raised in Illinois, right outside Chicago. It shows sometimes. Mike's seen it when I get angry or drunk.
Yes.
My ratchet comes out. My Chicago comes
you have
out.
a little accent, Midwest accent, it comes out.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Especially if I start talking, I'll be like, "Oh my God," and people are like, "What the
Line up
hell?"
some shots, dude.
I'm like, I know. It's not sexy. You don't want to hear it. No.
Yeah, I'm from New Orleans. Whenever I hear that little accent come out, a little twang.
Yeah. Yeah. I love New Orleans. Oh my God. Let's just talk about that.
Yeah, we can
I
talk
love
about
it
that.
there. I was there 2 summers ago. I'm going back. I love
yeah?
it. Oh my God. I love New Orleans. But yeah, I'm a Midwest girl. Let's see. I had graduated, did my undergrad in sociology and psychology, and then I was signed up to go to grad school in Chicago, and I visited my brother in Las Vegas. He was living there. I got married, so I decided to stay there instead of going back to grad school. That was dumb, but also here I am, so things happen for a reason, because I'm divorced now, so... And when I got divorced, we were living in Texas, and my brother had moved from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. So kind of my choices for my sanity was back home to Illinois, which who wants to go there? Or LA with my brother, and I chose LA with my brother, and that's kind of how I ended up here. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm not using my degree, so let's bartend, because that's easy to do right now, and that's kind of how we got to where we're at now.
And why'd your brother want to come out to LA?
He just wanted to I think he had to choose a coast to get as far away from our family in Illinois and stuff like that. So he was like, okay, either New York or LA, one of the major cities on the coast. And he just kind of chose LA.
That's good. I like to hear people's their triggers or whatever that gets them to move to the West Coast.
Yes.
Either coast, really.
Yeah.
We're all trying to escape. We know there's a bigger life out there, right?
Yeah. And I think that we grew up dancing and performing and stuff like that. So LA is kind of the place for that. So we've all done some background dancing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but that's not really neither one of us came out here we're going to be a star. We were just oh, there's a beach and people smoke weed. This is cool, so.
I like that. So you came out, you started bartending, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
You came out to bartend?
Yes.
So where'd you start there? Because you didn't just get into events right away.
No, it was event bartending.
It was event bartending. Okay.
I have bartended at a couple of bars, which I love bartending, by the way. It's gonna be my second job till the day I die. My long-term goal is retire, but not really retire, and own a bar and bartend and just be this old lady with fake boobs sticking out, hitting on younger people that are really annoyed by it. But I'm like, fuck you, whatever, you're in my bar.
I'll be sitting there too.
And he's like, I'm coming.
Please come. So yeah, I started off, I was working at some bars, but I've never, I think Mike was telling you before we started the show, is I've never actually worked in nightclubs.
Okay.
But I've done basically everything
big
else that
events.
entails like what you would consider nightlife, like all of the bottle service at the festivals and all the major like productions where we're doing nightlife stuff, just not at an actual venue. Until currently, now I'm at a nightclub venue bartending right now. But that was a default because of no jobs from the
And where's that
pandemic.
at?
The patio at Academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That just recently reopened, right?
Yeah. It
So
did.
it's kind of funny because now when we sit and talk and we think about the headaches we deal with, we look back because I met Nan like 6-7 years ago at this
Yeah, it
point.
was a while ago.
I was bartending one of those events. We were both bartending the Maxim Halloween party, which then
my
2 years
God.
later we ran the whole thing. But we just look back and laugh like, yo, it was so much easier. We had so much more fun when we would just bartend.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I still,
Like-
I went from managing Sundance events to, I backtracked. I was like, I don't want to manage anymore. I went back to bartending. And then me and my friends who started, remember, because you came on because I had been working Sundance like many years before you started. And you're like, I'm going to manage. I was like, ha, good luck. See you there. And you and like other people that started managing learned quickly. Like we compared like paychecks and after making cash tips from bartending, I was like, so I worked so much less than you and we made the same amount. So
And
there's
the
certain
stress
times
levels?
that
Right.
yeah. But then also there's like, and then there's certain events like we enjoy managing and being in charge of Skydeck. But then there's other events where you're like, I'm just going to bartend.
It's definitely a bit different. But the bartending aspect, there was one of my favorite stories, and I was telling Nick earlier about this as we were bartending at Sundance. And me and her would always bartend next to each other because we were just both really fast.
Oh my God.
But I'm a big fan of the beeps. And this is when Sorry dropped. So literally we'd be bartending, we'd have 5 deep at the bar and it would come on and I'd stop working and just dance. And she'd look at me like, are you fucking serious right
Yes.
now? And I'm
Right
like,
now?
yup.
I mean,
would
that's one of those events where you have open bar and literally at the end of the night, under your fingernails is bleeding from opening cans so much from like mixing for the mixers. Yeah. And beers and stuff.
It was a shit show.
Oh my God.
What is that crowd like at Sundance for?
Oh my God, they're so ratchet. Like they're just people love free. I have so much fun though.
Oh, we have a blast.
We have so much fun, but it's you have to be quick. And at some point, people be like, "Can I get a martini?" And I'm like, "Next!" Like get out
Right.
of my fucking face.
Let's
like
explain,
you get 2 things in the cup. That's it.
Right.
2 things.
Let's
at
explain
most.
what Sundance is for people who don't know about that, have never been.
It is a film festival.
It's the most famous film
It's the
festival.
most famous film festival. It's where, I mean, it used, like everything else, Sundance is just like Burning Man, which is just like every other thing that started off as very much aimed towards independent things. So the film festival would be aimed towards independent, low budget films, and then they get shopped to larger companies to put out for mass production. But now you have all the famous rich people producing stuff anyway, but it's technically independent films that are being shopped to get bought. But I think now most of those could get shopped to be bought and sold
Yeah, they're like big. I mean, a lot of
without Sundance's help.
Yeah,
you know?
but then a lot of them. What was it? Manchester by the Sea won. We threw the Manchester by the Sea party that won the Sundance Award and then went on to win the Oscar. So like we've thrown some parties for some wild events, and like one of my top 3 favorite. Sundance is one of the toughest events we ever do because within it we oversee. I think the most that year we oversaw 6 venues and did 72 parties in 6 days. Because we just flip them every 2-3 hours. There's another press junket,
and then you have the press junkets in the
and then
beginning
there's
of the
like
day.
brunches, and then there's all these different things. But there was one we had, it was 50 people, and they brought in this grand piano, and we had a private John Legend concert. It was fucking awesome.
Oh, and little Mikey Table's heart was just exploding.
I'm sitting there like literally John Legend is where you are.
Yeah, he was definitely hard.
Just
Like
playing the piano. Yeah,
he's
just
like,
playing.
"Oh, do you see who I'm looking at?" I was like, "Yes."
And then his wife was sitting right there, and she's fucking beautiful.
His voice is mesmerizing. Let's just like,
oh my God.
so that was gonna be my
Angel.
question about the type of people that go. It's very celebrity driven. And before Sundance
Yeah,
used to be like
so-
more intimate, right? But now it's like
I think with the age of the internet that we're in now, everything is just so much more accessible. I think, people back in the 90s didn't have the internet to look up exactly what's going on with Sundance. You just kind of had to be privy to what was going on, and then you would go and everything was smaller. And now, because everybody knows everything about everything, it's just people show up. So many, everything's bigger, everything's more accessible.
It's a party.
There's more money to be made though. So that's why people like Mike and I and the people that we work for and work with, and we all just make money. It's insane how events and nightlife type events has grown, because it's really because of the internet, because there's just a way to get this information to people to show up. And going back to the type of people that go, it is very celebrity driven, which is not bad. The problem is the people that show up to see the celebrities.
Right.
Oh, they're the worst.
Or the PR agents that are up our ass.
Yeah,
about
celebrities are usually like,
chill.
I'd say 5% of celebrities suck, but like most of them are pretty cool. It's the people surrounding them that suck. And then it's like the weirdos that are just like, hey, is James Franco going to be here? And then were you there when somebody like tried to bum rush the fucking, oh my God, I think that was me and Myron. Somebody literally tried to run in to a VIP area because James Franco was there, and he was clearly a psycho. Like, and me and this other guy who Mike also knows, we had to take a man down. We had to take a man down because we were like, what the hell? And we're not even security. Like, it's
crazy, some of the shit that goes
you
on.
learn a lot of stuff doing events, especially with celebrities around and weirdos.
I think the only other event that we deal with the same amount of bullshit besides the Skydex is when we do Maxim. So we've done Maxim Hot 100 in LA, which is it's a tough one. That's a tough one.
We'll get into that. I mean, if you're gonna bring it up,
Yeah, it's very similar with the celebrity driven aspect. And when everybody, like you said, with the internet, everybody knows that Maxim Hot 100 happens here in LA in June. It's a thing. It's known throughout the whole year. It is a very celebrity filled.
Yeah, and around that time, I have so many friends.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to go to the party. I have so many friends.
so I have just a curious question about people at open bars and specifically celebrities at open bars, because a lot of people have been to open bars, and it's like a free for all. I mean, celebrities aren't normal people, but I mean, are they part of this free for all? Like, do you see them at the bar, or do they have handlers that get them drinks? Or
It's like, honestly, it's like 50-50.
Depends,
Yeah. There's certain celebrities that definitely want to come up and interact and just feel normal. And then there's other people who probably have maybe a little bit of like social anxiety, so they send somebody to get them. So it's 50-50.
and some of the bigger stars probably get like bombarded by.
Bro, I had John Hamm come behind the bar and bartend with me one time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's cool
It
like
was super
that.
cool.
Yeah, I've had certain celebrities they'll just come up and stand by the bar and talk to me. Like
I don't see why.
Keanu Reeves, that's my soulmate, just so everybody knows. Mike knows this story. Keanu Reeves has hit on me twice. He didn't remember me the second time, but he doesn't know we're supposed to be together.
Yeah.
I'm clearly his type. He's
Yo,
hit on me twice.
Keanu
And I was
is
like,
the
you don't
man.
remember me the first time, do you? So this is not a fluke. You really like me. That's cool. And we're soulmates. And it'll happen a third time, and I will leave whoever I'm with. I could have 3 kids and a husband. I'd be like, bye, it's Keanu. Bye.
Keanu, if you're listening, she's gonna drop her Instagram tag
Right?
later.
Nan Savage, hit me up. I love him.
Oh, I love
But
it.
yeah, there's it's like 50-50, I'd say. More like 60-40. 60% will send people, but 40% they're just like, yeah, they'll come behind the bar, they'll
Chill.
Bill Murray it, where they're just like, I'm being involved. So,
Oh, Bill Murray. I would love to meet Bill Murray.
right?
Yeah.
He's the best.
I heard he just like shows up at people's house parties.
I heard that
He
too.
does, yeah. There's that whole documentary that I watched about
What
him.
is it?
I forget what it's called, but we should Google it. The Bill Murray documentary, where he literally, like, he's got a phone number, like a landline, that's how you get a hold of him, and he never answers it or calls you back. So like,
Right? Don't you like leave a
and he,
message
like,
or something?
Yeah, you do. But he like seriously never calls you back, so it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And that's the point where he's just like
We should call him and tell him we're having the recording a
We're
podcast.
like, hey, we're recording the Bill Murray episode and see if he shows up.
Oh my
Down.
God, right? That's not a bad idea.
I want to
'cause he
see
might
Bill
do it.
Murray. What's it like to party with Bill Murray? I've partied with some crazy celebrities.
Well, there's
and
this-
Bill
there's-
Murray sounds great.
There's
Yeah.
this we have to Google it now, whatever the documentary is. I remember seeing it like 2 years ago. And he literally will just show up to parties, and sometimes he won't call you back, but he'll hear the message. And then he'll do stuff like, I think, what was that movie? Lost in Translation, with the woman
ScarJo?
that directed it.
Oh, okay.
Called The Bill Murray Stories, Life Lessons Learned from a Mythical Man.
Yes. Yes.
He is a man of mythical proportion.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. But he literally had a meeting with, what's her dad's famous too, and they've got the
Sofia
wine.
Coppola?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So he basically had a meeting with her and was like, yeah, I'll do your movie. I'll do Lost in Translation. But like, won't sign contracts or anything like that. And she's like, oh my God, we have like a week to shoot. And is he even going to show up? And sure enough, he just showed up. He just showed up and was like, yeah, I'm here. I told you I'd be here. I'm
God,
here.
it's like the coolest
and she's
thing.
like losing it. And you're like, but that's Bill Murray. And that's what I aspire to be like.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I don't have to sign a contract. I'm gonna be there. My word is my word. You know?
Right. So I guess we should get into the nitty gritty of, what this podcast is not really about, but what we like to get into is how working in these events and this nightlife scene or whatever affected your mental health. And if that ever happened to you, in a negative or positive way.
Okay. I think that, so I'm third oldest of 9 kids. There's 18 grandkids. A lot of the grandkids lived with us growing up. Single mom, dad was in prison. So I know what chaos is. And I think that I've had some experiences, but it's almost like natural to me to be in chaos. So I haven't had too hard of a struggle with the mental health aspect of it, but I think my struggles are more like juggling work with things that are happening personally.
I get that because I don't know, I think you mentioned off air that you maybe growing up, like you were trained for like to handle mental battles, if you will.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think just also being one of the oldest one, I'm used to being in charge with my family in general. So I kind of do well with that and do well in chaos and just kind of like delegating what needs to be done. People always compare me to Fiona from Shameless.
Okay.
Which is good and bad sometimes, because it can, yeah. But
she's a cool
anyway.
character.
She is a great character,
Yeah.
but she has her moments where she's like acting
But
crazy.
like I've seen,
so.
we deal with some really stressful, and one of the reasons why I rely on her so much is that we deal with some really, really stressful situations, but she knows how to compartmentalize and doesn't lose her shit.
I definitely can compartmentalize like a fucking champ. I can. I think I also do really well, just again, growing up how I did with so many people surrounding me, that I deal well with different personalities. I'm not 100% great with it, because there's like this 2% of people, you've seen it, where I'm just like, there's just something about, but you can't get along with everybody, right? So there's like this 2% of people where I'm just like, get him the fuck away from me. But I think I do well with dealing with different people. I'm trying to think of like some mental.
Well, let's actually take that angle because you're the boss, right?
In certain situations,
So
I do know how to follow very well too, which makes a great leader.
That's right. So how is it dealing with some of these personalities and the people that you're working with in these high stress environments? Like somebody that may be breaking down or maybe is drinking too much or, doing drugs while they're working. Like, how do you handle situations like that?
I just don't. And I make Mike deal with it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, I'm busy dealing with the money. You handle them. No, I think it's definitely like we all wanna pretend like we're like, yeah, we're bosses and we can like, we'll deal with whatever comes along. But you also like, no matter what anybody says, unless you're a sociopath, like you want people to like you, and you want to like not be like the stuck up person, and you want to be a little lenient sometimes. So that can be a struggle where you're like, oh yeah, you can take a shot at work, it's fine. And then you get to a point where you're like, no, we cannot let them take shots at work.
Right.
I
said one shot, not 10.
You know what I mean? Right. Because I mean, it's an age old saying, but you give somebody an inch and they take a mile.
Oh, yeah.
It's so
Constant.
Yeah. And I think that something that I know Mike can attest to this too, that we've dealt with is where you're like, I'm going to be the cool boss. And then they like take a mile and then you're like, what the fuck? And then they're like, you're not the same like you used to be. And you're like, yeah, because I'm your boss now. Like you need to chill the fuck out. Like I'm literally hiring you. Why are you not respecting that? And then people you struggle with, I mean, we've all lost friendships with moving up in the ladder and then they just don't want to respect you as their superior. And you're like, I'm not your superior in life. It's just in this situation. You need to compartmentalize, So
let's talk about that, because that's definitely a struggle I've dealt with and we've talked about before. But we have in our situation a lot of friends that we work with. So how are you able to separate both, and how are you able to deal with those situations where you're like, okay, yes, we're friends, we've been friends for a long time, but here's this. So take us how you kind of walk through that and how you break that down.
Sorry, say that one more time. You're asking
how you're able to, when you're dealing with friends and there is
Yes.
a problem that you have to address and you have to be like, hey, I'm your boss right now. How do you go about that knowing that there's going to be some sort of confrontation?
Oh, I totally play on their emotions and make myself the victim, for sure. Because I've learned that there's no other way to do it. And hopefully anybody that works under us isn't going to listen to this. But
So like a reverse psychology, like
almost, I think that, and not like in a malicious way, but you're like, how can I think I approach it like thinking like, how can I make it from their point of view, how can I make this make sense to them as to what they're doing is disrespectful or wrong? So you do kind of have to play on their emotions and be like, this is like hurting me because, and it seems so manipulative, but sometimes you have to do that to get them, especially in a work situation, to kind of make them understand. Because I take that approach more so than I'm the boss and you need to listen to me, because that's just not who I am. And I don't think that that's effective, at least from being a woman in charge. Like, that's not effective at all. It's effective with men a lot, but not being a woman. It's not. So you kind of have to play on people's emotions and get them to see how what they're doing is hurting you.
you see the women always messing with your brain.
It's true.
So
what we're good at.
There's definitely
No,
something that you hit on in this industry is such a double-edged sword where you said like being a woman and you are a woman who's in an authoritative position. So let's talk about some of those struggles, because I know so many women out there who have been in your shoes, who are the GM of a nightclub or a big operation.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it firsthand. I see what it's like when I approach the client versus when she approaches the client.
Yes. So that's
different.
actually what I was going to say. So I have never had a problem within our actual department or any places that I've ever worked when people are like, Nan's this position. I, for the most part, get respect about it, and people do. And you know what? I've learned to do this. I'm good at what I do. So people see that and they respect that, and they do come to me and they'll be like, you're the man that knows what to do. And I'm like, cool. Like, so I've never had a problem as far as like, within like whatever venue or event or the staff, like I've never had a problem with that really that I can even think of. The problem comes with clientele. Mike one time made me wear a fucking polo shirt.
I have a picture of that too. She's not happy about it.
I am not.
What event was this for?
Okay, let me tell you why. Going to what we're saying is because I like to dress a little slutty sloot. Like, I enjoy it. I like hot weather, so I have to wear the least amount of clothing. And so like in bottle service, the girls are clearly wearing like sexy stuff, and I'll just like have my boobs out and I'll just go walking across, and I could have just talked to a client, literally being like, hey, I'm the manager and I'm helping you with this, blah, 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 whatever. And then 2 minutes later, they'll be like, hey girl, come here. I need some vodka. And you're just like, do you know, I just talked to you and we were talking about your finances and other stuff. And now you're literally treating me like I'm just like some girl walking across I'm not even dressed like the bottle girls. Why are you talking to me like that? Like, so it's kind of like the clientele will not necessarily respect me. So then Mike was like, you need to look like a manager. Here's a polo shirt. And I was like, I fucking hate you. Like, why you made me wear it the one night. And then after that, my boyfriend at the time was like, hell no. Like, he's like,
What kind of response did you get while you were working with that polo shirt, like with people?
Oh, nothing. I just looked like I was security. Like, and they were like, who hired the little girl to be a security? That's weird. Like, it didn't help. It didn't help.
But there is a big difference with the clientele though.
Yes. But within our departments that I worked in, not too much of a problem as far as being a woman. I think because I stay in my lane. And if I don't know how to do something, I'd be like, let me direct you to the person that does. So I'm not like sending people running around. Clientele is usually a problem. And sometimes working with other departments until people get to know me. But once they get to know me and know that I'm capable, it usually goes okay. But there's still just these moments where they'll be like, where's Mike? And I'm like, Mike can't help you. He doesn't know how to do this. This is my job. Like, you know what I mean? It's just because I think sometimes men and women do communicate differently. And maybe there's just like a communication barrier or something. For the most part, I guess it's okay.
It happens.
I used to love having female bosses and managers, or I don't know. It just
Because we give so many details. That's why.
Yeah, and you know how to talk to people.
And it's literally like 50% of men are probably like you, where you're like, I have all the information. Thank you, woman. You know what I mean? And then there's other guys where they're just like, you're a girl and you're talking too much. I can't process this. And then you literally have to be like, this, there, 2 minutes, go. Like, that's how you have to communicate. So I kind of adjust to like, and figure out how, you know what I mean?
Right. And like you said, men like to be like, yeah, I'm your boss. Like, you need to do this.
Yes.
Like crack the whip.
Yeah.
As women, they finesse a little
Yeah.
more and get you to understand why you need to do this.
Yeah. And I think that we've been socially trained to do that because, and I mean, it's just true. Like if you act like a dude acts as a boss, they think you're a bitch. They do. They're just not used to hearing women in an authoritative position just being super direct. So we've kind of like finessed everything to being like, how can I explain this to you so that you can understand? Whereas men can just say it how they want.
Right.
So I think that is the difference where you can kind of just say like whatever, however you want to say it. And I'm literally sitting here explaining to you guys. I'm like, I kind of like tailor it to who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I mean,
sucks.
I mean, I am the boss, but it wouldn't work without everybody in their lane. But we have a core team of badass females.
Yeah.
Like that's why we
do.
are so successful. Like we have several
We
women
do.
on our team who just own it.
Yeah.
Like have a confidence about it, know how to do their job, know that they're right, know that what they're doing is right, and they're not gonna have anybody else tell them otherwise. And I respect the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
And it's great because like, yo, they hold it down. And I've seen them check, like some of these clients, she doesn't take shit. Like if you're going to be disrespectful,
No, I
she doesn't
won't.
take that. She is going to check you.
Yeah.
And I very much want her to do so because she busts her ass. But it's just great to see, like, you get, like, she's right. Some of these clients are misogynistic and they will look down on her because she's a woman. They're like, let me get Mike. I'm like, what did Nan just say? And they're like, but you, I'm like, did she just say that?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm not going to side with her?
Yeah.
What she says
But
goes.
like if I say something, somebody will be like, let me talk to Mike. But if Mike says something, nobody's ever like, let me talk to Nan. You know what I mean? Because they're like, oh, you're the big guy in charge. So we're going to listen to you. But
that's just
how it
the
goes.
nature of people.
That
They
is the
want to
nature
keep
of
pushing
people.
buttons.
That's the nature, that's upbringing, that's lack of
That's-
respect for women.
Yeah.
That's the
I mean,
industry.
we could
Yeah.
dive, that'll be a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But in general, you respect
not
women,
gonna say-
people. Come on.
yeah, exactly. And you know what? It's definitely not. I hate when people just talking about anything that has been an issue of an oppressed group of people in the past when they're like, nothing's better. And you're like, things have improved as far as feminism goes. Don't get me wrong, it has. But there's still this thing where it's like, I'm still catering to people because I can't just say things how I want to say it and people listen, you know? So there's a little ways to go.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's always room for growth, but it's always great to see because we've had girls on the show who've been cocktail waitresses, but she's the first person we have on who's sitting in an authoritative position.
Oh,
like she's
God
in.
bless cocktail waitresses. Oh my God. Like, no, I could never do it. They deserve every fucking dollar they make. I can tell you that much. I
A
have
lot of
so
people
much.
don't agree with that, but like she's 100% right.
So
Yeah.
what you know me, I'm like, I stand up for and protect the fucking cocktail girls, the bottle girls. Like, oh my God. I'm like, people are not allowed to talk badly about them. Like jokes here and there, yeah. But like, I'm like, no, they deserve every fucking dollar they make. I tried to do it one time.
Did you knock somebody out?
It did not work out so well.
You already know where the story's going. He gets it. I was managing the girls for a previous event. And then the next event, the woman that hires everybody, she was like, oh, hey, like it's a small show, so we don't actually need another manager. But hey, you're cute. Why don't you be a bottle girl? Just come out and be a bottle girl. And I was like, okay. Like, and naive. I'm like, it can't be that hard. You know what I mean? So I went and did it. Some guy disrespected me so much. He called me a slut. He was so drunk. I was refusing to serve him. I'm like, I legally can't serve you, but it's your bottle. You can serve yourself. And he told me, I was taking it. He was like, you're a bitch, you're a slut. And I was sitting there and I was taking it. I was just like, la, 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 whatever. I'm so unbothered. And then he was like, I'm going to fucking hit you. And I literally like this little switch, like Ratchet Chicago went boop,
Yeah.
on. And I was like, the fuck did you just say to me? And I picked up his bottle, and we're talking like the big bottles, and I just pour it out in front of his face. And I'm just like, oh, this is what you wanted, this? And then I turn it over in my hand, and I was like, fucking come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. And I'm just standing there like waving this fucking bottle around, you know, like that. Security took me out. I was very upset. And I was like, yo, this guy threatened to hit me and I'm protecting myself and I got removed. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not allowed to bottle service.
What? First of all, that's a fucking boss move. You pouring out his liquor.
Fuck that guy.
Because I wasn't expecting that, but thinking about it.
I literally just stared in his eye and poured the liquor out.
It's a $1,200 bottle of vodka.
You're watching
mad.
a retail $30 bottle of vodka that you paid $1,200 for being poured out in front of you.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate slap in the face.
Yeah.
It's better than a physical slap.
Yes. I just poured his bottle out.
mean,
And
you
I was like,
almost
you're
did
not,
slap him.
nobody's getting shit now. And then I was like, and if you touch me, I will fuck you up. And he was drunk enough that I definitely could have taken him. Definitely.
Yeah.
So, but I got removed. So,
I'm sure you could take some sober dudes out.
yeah. Maybe.
We're not going to get into that. I've seen some shit. All I say is I try very hard
come
not
a
to be
long
on this
way.
woman's bad side.
I've come a long way.
You've come a very, very long way.
Come a long way.
Very long way.
I can definitely say that I have grown as a
Exponentially.
person. Yeah.
Exponentially.
I definitely, as a younger delinquent, my go-to was like anger and fighting and just, you know, stuff like that. And I think at the age of, I'm 35 on Saturday. I'll be 35 on Saturday.
Oh,
I'm proud
happy early
of
birthday.
myself. Now I am so unbothered by so many things now. You know, I mean, that whole situation where I poured the guy's liquor out and tried to hit him with the bottle. That was, God, I must have been like 28, something like that. And it's like, now I wouldn't have done it. Even if he threatened to hit me, I wouldn't have handled it that way. So that's part of.
See, now that I'm out of I'll never be bottled. I'll never be a TSA again. Physically impossible, really. Or I could probably bartend unless.
We'll hire you. It's fine.
Yeah,
You're
right.
TSA. You can do
He
what you
just
want.
sits there all night.
Yeah.
Your table will be spotless. Trust me.
He's got it. I would still have Danny come, because Danny was one of the hardest guys I've ever worked with. Like, he's part of that OG crew with us back in the day, and this dude worked his ass off,
Yeah.
man. He was a workhorse. I would still put him up against some of our TSAs who can walk.
Oh, I'll
Right?
still fuck him up.
And he'd still run circles around.
I'm just I'm like, sense of urgency to me was one of the most important things of working. And when I saw someone walking slowly, it just would infuriate me.
Irritating.
I would roll up my towel out of my back pocket. And, but yeah, like
That's
I
the
wanna
correct way to handle that.
Right?
So you did that. Yeah. Okay. You're hired.
Yes, thank you. Fuck yes.
That'll be your job. You just stand
I quit the
there and
podcast. I'm quitting the podcast today.
You don't get to quit the hey, guess what? This is now a traveling podcast. We're gonna hire Nick too. We're gonna interview everybody on the road. But you know how good it would be if we did this podcast after an EDC show with people when all of my cocktail waitresses are just pissed off
Oh
at
my
everybody.
God. Everybody's attitude would be so different. I'd be like, oh, you know what? I have a lot to say now. Because
Yes.
right now I'm like, everything's kind of okay, but catch me after 80.
Yeah,
So like that's the thing. Like after shows, she's like I said, she's my right hand woman. Like where I'm with her, we travel everywhere together. We're on shows hours beforehand. We literally get up in the morning, meet in the lobby, go on site all day, stay there, take a break, go to lunch, and like I'm with her 24/7. It's exhausting, the shit that we got to keep doing. It's like we finish one show, we literally pack. We have like an extra day in the city. We go sightseeing. We go out. We mostly go out and booze, and then we hop on a plane and go to another city and do it again.
Yeah.
Like we've had weeks where we did 10 shows in 12 weeks. It's insane.
Oh, that was, oh my God. By the last show, so all the rules we had in place were just out the window. We were like, fuck it at this point. Like, I don't care what happens.
Yeah, it's,
We were, oh my God, that was a.
Do you have any stories from like when you're on the tail end of your event?
We have so many good stories.
2019 going into 2020, that's when we had 10 shows in 12 weeks. And what had happened was there were two things that happened like near the last 4 shows. Our other person.
Well, hold on. Let's set this up though first. So there was a changeover in our departments. So 2018, 2018 is when I had my mental breakdown and I had to take a step back for a while. And then going into 2019, the 2 people they put in charge weren't cutting it. They pulled them back, put me back at the helm. Mm-hmm. I had a different mindset going in. We restructured the team a little bit, and instead of being under Insomniac, we were under DLS. So we had a whole new set of rules. So me and her had to switch a couple of hundred employees from one system to another. We had to start doing things a different way, and then it went back into this whole The two guys who were running it before, who took over when I stepped down for a little while, they did all right, but it became a bit of a free-for-all where we had to reel it back in.
And those two guys, I wouldn't say that they were bad at any of their
No,
jobs.
not at all.
You have to have a certain type of want and personality to deal with the clientele, and they were really solid with everything else, but not dealing with the clientele because
Yeah,
they just
they
had
were
no
great at the
interest in that,
operation.
which is where Mike definitely excels. You're very, very good at that. So just side note.
You have to be a people person when it comes to the clientele.
Yeah.
You have to get on their level, literally.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can do that well, but so I'll let her finish it, but setting this up is we had all of these new ways of being a new team. I was the new boss, like back again. But the person who was above me at that point, she ended up leaving and taking another job. So I was the GM, and then I turned into the director, and then she became GM. So we had all of these changeovers going into 10 out of 12 shows, 10 shows in 12 weeks. And then I'll let you finish it.
Yeah, it was nuts, and we were literally onboarding new employees. I think that was my fault, where I was like, we can do it. It's fine. Part of my problem is taking on too much. And I'm like, I can do everything all the time. And you can't. So I was like, we can onboard these people. We didn't understand what that was and how much you had to do. So that was just a lot. Because we were so used to doing everything internally with our department that we were like, we don't need help. And we absolutely did. But we got it done. We did it. It was just a lot of work. So not only were we doing everything differently, onboarding people, just making sure that everything was smooth with our the company that owned us. We were doing 10 shows in 12 weeks. And then at one of the shows, our other guy who was in a higher up position,
Scott Hartman. I think
Scott Hartman, yeah.
Back in the day. He was our logistics manager.
Yeah. He got his appendix erupted.
During work?
Yeah. And then I started having a miscarriage. This all happened at one show. Yeah. So it's a long story, but I got a kidney infection, and then my medicine affected my birth control, and I got pregnant by my boyfriend, and then I didn't even know I was pregnant, and then I had a miscarriage, right?
Wow.
And it was very painful, very painful.
And mentally.
Oh my God. And mentally, yeah, it was just a bad time. So Scott was hurt. He had just had surgery. I had to go to the doctor multiple times. I literally was having all these problems with my miscarriage where stuff was just internally bad. And we reached a point where we were at one show.
Everything's getting heavy, and now everyone's looking at me like, wait, you're carrying all this? How's your mental? And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Just let me keep going.
Yeah.
And where were you at this point? What city or what?
We were in Orlando.
We were in Orlando when those two things
happened. And then we came back, and then we were in San Bernardino.
Yeah.
Then we were in
LA because Rolling Loud. Because I actually
you tried to work.
Yeah. So my miscarriage was just bad. I don't know if you guys know anything about miscarriages. I mean, why would you? But sometimes they're just really painful and bad, and sometimes stuff stays inside of you and then you get infected, right? And then it causes a lot of pain. So that was kind of what was happening to me, where I had to and then I developed a cyst on my ovary from the hormones, and I was just in so much pain. And literally, do you remember at Rolling Loud LA, it felt like somebody stabbed me in the stomach, and I literally collapsed to the ground. So we're in the middle of a show, and I'm fell on the ground, and everybody's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't know. And Scott's like, I still have a scar from my appendicitis. And Mike's over here I guess I'll do everything.
Yeah. Well, and then that show.
I'm sorry. I want to help. And he's like, seriously, you need to fucking go home. And I was like, no, I want to be here. And he's like, go home. And I was like, okay.
So I had to do everything that show, and Rolling Loud,
Which you've done before.
Which I've done before, but
fine.
Rolling Loud is in LA. It's downtown. So imagine this is our city. So my phone is blowing up left and right. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants me. On top of that, now I'm backstage trying to deal with. We had sometimes on the deck we get some of the performers, some of the celebrities come up to us. So I was back there dealing with, I think, YG, because they wanted to move up to the deck, but all of a sudden a 30-on-30 brawl breaks out in the artist lounge because the hip hop shows, the entourage is. So I got stuck back there for 20 minutes while this massive brawl occurred. Yeah. And everyone's calling for me like, yo, we need you. I'm like, I can't walk, because if I walk past this, I'm going to get beat up, because they're going to think I'm part of the fucking entourages, because it's just melee right now. No, everyone's just swinging at everybody.
I will say this, going back to just one of your original questions about just how does this mentally affect you and stuff? And it's I think that Mike and I are always talking about politics. That's kind of something that affects you mentally. And it does cause you anxiety and it causes you sadness sometimes. And you're just like,
And she means like industry politics.
industry politics.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. When I
Yeah.
took over as Sayers for the bar, it was like I went from one of the guys in the group to the boss, and everybody treated me differently. And I would sit in the office sometimes and like be like, I don't fucking like this feeling, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, compounded with having to make people's schedules and who, you know, trying to keep everybody happy. You're gonna piss or offend somebody, you know, piss off somebody at
Yes.
some
And then
point.
people
with
expect
that?
for you to like,
Yeah, to do
they're like,
favors
but we were
because
homies. Do me a
Right.
favor. And you're like, yo,
Yeah,
what
you're
the
a shitty
hell?
worker,
Like,
bro.
you just show up.
we also deal with it on the, like, obviously we're on a very high level where we are, but now I'm dealing directly with ownership. I'm dealing directly with celebrities, directly with agents, directly with sponsors.
Who all think that
Who
they're
all-
the most important.
And they all want
priority.
something different. So I got to play the politics of what I can do. It's like a lot of these shows, it feels like we're not set up for success. We're there to mitigate failure. Because so many different people,
Yeah.
there's so many chiefs and not enough Indians, and each chief wants something different. And each chief will check up that you did what they wanted. And it doesn't matter that somebody else said, oh, but I want this. They're like, well, what did I tell you? I'm like, but okay, yep, got it. And you got to figure out how to make 5 different things happen at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what the
And
mental
going along
struggle
with
is.
that, like just everything that you said, not just dealing with that, but then on top of that, I have 10 staff calling me about parking. You know what I mean? You're just like, which I think at first we didn't have this, but we've kind of figured out that
Yep.
we give all the information. We have like a bottle lead and we have a TSA lead, and we're like, do not call me about parking, call your lead and they will figure it out for you. Like that type of thing, you know? But it still happens. So you're like literally I'll be like in the middle of like dealing with like a crisis with the fucking POS, and like we're trying to make sure we have all the money, but also we don't want, there's like political shit going on, and then somebody will be like, hey, can I get my food tickets? And I'm like, do you see me doing 10 things right now and you're gonna ask me for fucking food tickets?
some people have no common
You are
sense,
not
dude.
starving right now. You know what I mean? And I can't. I would never. Like if I walk up and somebody is literally talking, I'll be like, I'm gonna come back. Like
Right.
I would never. Like I would never do that. Like food tickets? You want food tickets right now? Like I
Right.
haven't eaten since fucking yesterday.
Right?
Like,
Did you see the fucking 80-person brawl going on right
you know, like. No, but staff will do.
Yeah,
some
all
people
the
staff.
time.
They'll be like, well, since there's a brawl going on right now, we don't really have much to do. Do you have my food
Right.
tickets? And I'm like, I can't deal with you right now. Like I don't know.
There's so many to what we do, there are so many moving parts.
Yeah.
There are so many moving parts that we need to go right. We need a check-in team to work. We need the shuttles to make sure they're dropping people off at the right time. I need the host to make sure that they're checking people in. I need the sponsors to make sure they dropped off all the bot. Like there is so many different things happening that the two of us have to keep control over, and it's just exhausting.
Yeah. And I think more so we were talking about like dealing with different personalities and stuff like that. And I think a lot of just managing and moving up is you have to act like a parent and deal with, it's not so much like dealing with their personalities with you, but like making sure everybody's cool with each other. Because how many times have we had people just come into our office and they're like, this person did this. And you're like, we're not in 5th grade and you need to handle it like an adult. Why are you even coming to me? But so that's part of it.
It really
too.
is. It was like being like the school teacher or something.
It is, right?
Because
Like,
people
Yes.
don't get it. Like we've done a very good job on our team now. It's like we've curated the team where it's a vibe and everybody gets along. But we have events where we have to outsource staff if we're in other cities, and you're just like, you could see like it's cliquey, and this group of girls does not like this group of girls, and you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then that's something else you have to keep an eye out for. And okay, let me not place these people in these sections, and let me not give this client to that. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
it's a lot of bullshit.
And I think that sometimes people will see you they see you in one aspect because you're just dealing with them in one aspect and they don't know that you're doing 13 other things. And then they'll literally be like, I could do that.
Right.
And I'm like, be my fucking guest.
Yes.
Try it. That's happened. You know, that happened at the restaurant where somebody was like, oh, you were gone and we couldn't even print a receipt. Where were you?
Right.
And I'm just like, but I thought my job was easy, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody loves to be like, I can do your job. Really? Try it.
Right.
Try it.
Yeah, because you're like not just doing your job, but you're acting like a school teacher to like deal with the staff. You know, it's insane.
I mean, obviously you're good at your job, so you make it look like it's going smoothly and easy.
People don't realize.
But yeah,
When I stepped down, it took 3 people to replace me, and the job still didn't get properly done.
Yeah.
mad props to both of you. Mad props.
This seems like a nice place to take a break.
I think it's time for our favorite.
way to end the show.
Yeah, go
What?
ahead.
So we'd love to end with one of your favorite stories that you have, whether it's celebrity related, whether it's Skydeck related, whether it's traveling related. What's your biggest standout, the most fun, crazy? I mean, I there's so many off the top of my head that I have with you in different cities.
Well, why
she
don't
was
we
with me when I
start-
got arrested.
Oh, in Mexico?
She was
We were
with
on
me
the plane. And might I add, I literally was like, hey, before we go through the checkpoint, why don't you go and check the plane? And you're like, nah, it's probably in my backpack. So I was right, first
You
of
didn't
all.
listen to your right-hand woman.
I was so
That
high.
really happened. And I literally, like, we got to a point where, oh my God. Like, I remember when I was like, I told you to go back to the plane. I can't help you now. And it was so funny because nobody else was there. And so when I was like, well, they said they tricked you too.
Oh,
Mind
yeah.
you, so we flew into Mexico and he left his passport on like in the seat behind, like in front of him on the back of the plane. And we got off and we were getting to, what is it called when you go through it?
Customs.
It's been so long since I've traveled.
And he was already drunk at this point,
I
right?
was
From
high.
the plane?
Oh, he was high.
Oh, that's right. Edibles?
I'm drunk, he's high. That's how it goes. Duh. So literally, and he's like, I don't know where my passport is. And I was like, and he stopped and he checked his bag. And I was like, maybe you left it on a plane. Just go back and check the plane. And he's like, nah, it's in my backpack. And then we got there and he's like, it's really not here. And instead of letting them go back, the guy was like, oh, come with me. We'll figure this out for you. And then I didn't hear from him for like an hour. And I was like, where did you go? And he's like, I'm in some room and they have us on mattresses on the floor and there's no water and I don't know what's going on. And then your phone died and like all this stuff. But I was like, they're holding you until you can like
Till they
figure
figure
it.
out,
Yeah. But everybody else was like freaking out. And I was like, he's fine. It's fine.
I wasn't fine.
Well, you weren't fine.
He's scared as shit.
You
I
weren't
was.
fine. Yeah. But just so we're clear, I did tell him to go back and he didn't
Yes.
listen to me. But yeah, I can't think of like something. What's a story that like you know about me that
I mean, you got super pissed at me when we made you wear a fucking cocktail waitress costume the first time we went to
oh
Mexico.
yeah, also Mexico. We do not have a good
We do not have a good track record. I'm
with
over
Mexico.
3 in Mexico.
Okay, so I used to work for another department for the festivals, and Mike and I bartended together at another place, and then he was like, hey, I haven't seen you at the other department for festivals. Where have you been? And I was like, oh, I don't really want to do that, so there's no point in wasting my time there. And he's like, well, come work for me. So he did bring me on, right? And I was cashiering and just doing the cashier and working with the bottle girls. And then he was like, hey, I kind of want to like, I think that you have it in you to move up and like take on more responsibility. And I was asking for more responsibility. Remember? Like I was like, I can do more. And he liked that. So he was like, I love that about you. Let's do it. We're going to start training you on like actually managing girls and doing this and doing that, and come to Mexico with me. And it'll be your first time of me training you on how to manage the girls. And I was like, okay, yay. Right. So then the woman that does the costuming for the bottle girls sends out a mass email to everybody. And she's like, hey, respond to me with your sizes for your outfits. And so of course I don't respond. And then Mike texts me and he's like, hey, you never responded to Lila with your sizes. And I was like, the fuck does she need my sizes for? Is she dressing me in Mexico? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would I, like, what am I wearing? Like, I don't understand. He's like, the outfit, the bottle girl outfit. And I was like, no, the fuck I'm not. I was like, I told you about the one time I tried to be a bottle girl. It's not going to happen. I am not doing it. And he was like, well, part of the deal was you're included with the girls. You're just gonna be like the lead, and that's how I'm training you. And I'm like, you did not specify that I had to dress like a bottle girl, which there's girls made for that, and they're good and they feel okay. I don't feel comfortable doing that, you know? And so I text Mike back and I said, I'm not going. And he texts me back. He goes, well, your ticket was already bought. And I go, well, then I quit. I don't care. Like,
You already had your like polo shirt ready to go.
I know, right? Then he called me and he goes, please come, please, like, please just wear the outfit. It's fine, Nan, it's fine. And he used my own tactic on me. He made me feel bad.
She came.
And I did go, and I dressed as a bottle girl.
And you had an awesome time.
And I had a great time. I did have a great time. I felt a little uncomfortable, but I just drank a little, and I was fine.
A little bit, yeah.
When we go
Yeah.
to DC Mexico, we bring girls more for, like, every Insomniac show around the world, their Skydecks are based off of what we do in the
Yeah.
US. So obviously they don't speak the language in Mexico, so I don't have them at tables, but we have them there as like representing the brand and representing us. So when we go to Mexico,
we can't technically work because we're not citizens, and we're not all going to get work visas. Yeah.
So we just kind of go and hang out with the client. So she wasn't like actually working. And then now we go every year with the specialized client, and we take 10 of us. And some bad things have happened to us in Mexico, but we have a sick time every time we go.
Yeah, and then like 2 years after I went and dressed in the outfit, he tricked me. You sent me a text before we went like 2 years later, and you're like, hey, did you send Lila your sizes? And I was like, do not do this to me again. Like, I am not fucking going. And he's like, I'm kidding. And I was like, fuck you, man. I literally got PTSD. Like,
yes.
No.
Oh my God. It's been so amazing listening to your stories and getting to know you, because I never worked with you before. And I think that's what's refreshing about this. We all work in pretty much the same industry, but there's so many different stories.
So many different aspects.
Well,
of
you
things
work
people
for us
do.
now. You're the towel whip guy, so.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
So we'll work together.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
On that note, this has been Chaos Controlled. Yo, thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Chaos Control, hosted by Mikey Tableman and Danny J. Gomez, producer and audio engineer Nick Dewar. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review on the Apple Podcasts app or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Join us next week for more chaos.